Good morning. So I'm going to ask you to actually put your stuff down. Put your stuff down. And there's a lot of stuff, so put it down for a moment. And I ask you to stand up. I want you to look around and find yourself another human being not at your table. And sit down with them. So find yourself another human being not at your table. And have a seat. What I'm going to ask you to do, strangely enough, is I want you to stand up again. And stretch. Stretch. You'll notice that you have a body. And our bodies are more useful than just hauling our heads around. They're part of how we move through the world. It's part of our leadership. So stretch a little forward. And turn to your partner before you sit down. And I want you just to say, here's my name, here's where I was born, and here's where I live. No resumes here. No resumes. So now have a seat. Now take a seat. You're going to get a chance to talk to this person a little bit this morning. So don't worry. This won't be the last time. So my name is Akaya Windwood, and I live and work in Oakland, although Rockwood Leadership Institute is a national organization. We're a nonprofit. And we come from the point of view that leadership can be taught. It's not something that there are, perhaps there are people who are born with a propensity toward leadership, but most of us need to learn it, and we can get better at it, even if we're very good at it. So we were instituted back in year 2000. We're now in our 13th year, and we teach nonprofit, for the most part, public benefit leaders, whether mostly nonprofit, but also some from the corporate sector, mostly triple bottom line organizations. When I was about 8, I was living in San Bernardino, California, and this was back before open enrollment, and I was one of 8 black students who integrated our town to go to school. And the way that worked then, there were 2 black students per white school. So 8 of us were picked up on the same bus, and 2 by 2 were dropped off at white schools in our town. And there was no intention ever that this was going to work by the powers that were at the time. They were very resistant to integration. And I remember stepping off, and I was 8, so 3rd grade. And the way they did it was 1 in K through 3 and 1 in 4 through 6. And I remember stepping off the bus into what I now call a sea of whiteness. And no one was prepared. The teachers weren't prepared. The students weren't prepared. For the most part, we weren't prepared because we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. Our parents didn't know. What they thought they were doing was trying to improve the world or improve educational for those of us in the black community. And because nobody was really prepared, no one spoke to me for the first 3 months of my year. Because nobody knew what to do with us. And I remember that as being a phenomenally lonesome time. Until just before the Christmas break, this wild-haired, red-haired Jewish girl came into my class. She looked around and realized she too was different. Looked at me and said, "Can we be friends?" And to this day, I can't tell you what it meant to be seen just seen. And like life got three-dimensional again, became technicolor, and it was just that simple act of saying, I see you. I acknowledge you. You are a human being. Made such a difference, and it made such a difference to me at that time that when I look back on my life's journey, everything I've done since then has been about making sure that we see each other and that we can work across the ways in which we have been taught to be different and to say, oh, they're over there and I'm over here, or we're over here. Are you with me on this? So what I'm going to ask you to do is tell a quick story, and each of you is going to get just a couple minutes. I come from the Bay Area, so we ring bells a lot. Let me show you. This is what it sounds like. I'm going to give each of you 2 minutes to tell a quick story. And then you'll hear my bell, and that'll be the signal to switch to the other person, so that one of you is always listening and one of you is speaking. And if you're listening, I'm going to ask you to not ask a whole lot of questions, to just let the story emerge. If you don't understand something, you can ask a question, but this isn't a time to go, oh yeah, me too, I had that same experience. And then it's back on you. You'll get your turn. Here's a story I want you to tell, each of you, to your partner. Tell about a time when you reached across a difference to someone and it made a difference. Or when someone reached to you across a difference or a hard time and it made a difference. So let's all think, because we've all done that. When did you reach, or somebody reach to you and it made a difference, and what difference did it make? So turn to your partner. All right. Thank your partners. Thank your partners. Why, I want to hear from just two of you, and you're going to have to yell out, why might I ask you to tell this story? What's it got to do with collaboration or trust? Why might I ask you to do this? I didn't fly across this country just to make you tell a story for no reason. Why? Empathy. It's personal. Why is that important when we're talking about collaboration? It makes a difference. It does make a difference. Why is trust important? We must be vulnerable. So, exactly. We can't build relationship across trust. Often we're put into collaborations, or we go into collaborations, and the first thing we do is, once we decide what we're going to do, then we go to work, right? And we have a lot of meetings. You know what I'm saying? And those meetings are often tedious because we don't take the time to build the relationship that allows for real collaboration, not just for this particular project, but for a while to happen. At Rockwood, we teach that relationship before issue or task, community before strategy or action. And if we take the time to build genuine, authentic, connected relationships, where we get to actually know each other and know what's important to each other, then when it gets tricky, and it always does, how many of you have been in a collaborative effort where it all fell apart? Mm-hmm. And the reason they generally fall apart is because we haven't taken the time up front to build the relationships that make them very possible. Where I get to say, okay, here's what's important to me, what's important to you. Who are your people? Here's what I bring. If we take that time to build relationship, then it's more likely we're going to get what we're actually after in the long run. And since most of us are in the business, or not in the business of quick fixes, how many of you are thinking that, you know, basically if we do our work in our nonprofit, we're going to be able to close in about 18 months? Because that's about all the time we really need to do what we're here to do. Most of us are in the business of our businesses or even our nonprofits for the long haul. And so we need to be sustained over time. And we are humans, and what sustains us is our relationships. So the time, and often people go, well, we don't have time to have dinner together. Really? We don't have time because we have to get to this thing. But if we spend time actually having dinner together and spending that time, then it actually pays off in the long run. We call it go slow to go fast. So you'll be telling a little bit more story as we go. This world is very complex, and it's becoming more and more complex. And it requires that, I appreciate what my brother this morning, Nicholas, was talking about in terms of we need to be innovative. We need to step out of how we've always done. We need to prototype. We need to try new stuff. We need to fail early. And that means we need to interrupt our patterns of habits that so many of us do every day. Well, we've always done it this way. As you said, don't say that anymore. Because, that's where that has gotten us to this moment. That's a good thing. Let's not disrespect the past. However, I live here in this country, and I'm a little disturbed by a lot of things that are going on. I think that we have great potential for amazing alternatives, but it does mean that we're going to have to think differently, and that none of us can make the changes that we need to make alone. Really, raise your hand if you think, you know what, actually I have everything I need to do what I have to do alone. Really, y'all can just leave me alone. I'm going to just come over here I'm going to end racism by myself. Right? Not going to happen. Also, if I can't do it alone, no one organization can do it alone. Just can't happen. And I'm going to venture to say no one sector can do this alone. No one movement can do this alone. It's going to take all of us. So if we're talking about immigration reform, we also need to be talking about environmental issues. We also need to be talking about access to water. We also need to be talking about economic development and GLBT issues and women's reproductive rights. It's all the same thing in some ways. And we won't be talking about all those things all the time, but we need to keep all of those in our minds and our hearts so that we're making a collective movement toward what I call the common good. And that way, when we need to make a big change, we have partners, because we've developed those partners who are maybe out of our sector and out of our organization that make it more likely that we'll actually make the changes that we're hoping to make. Does this make sense? So you have a new friend next to you, that human being you just sat down with. Now imagine for a moment that you actually could count on them for the rest of your life. Like, how cool would that be? For real. And I'm not just blowing smoke up here, for real. I'm not. I could be, but I'm not. Because everyone who comes into our universe is a potential partner for the rest of our lives. If we're willing to risk. Collaboration is inherently risky, because it means I get to show up for real. And I'm asking you to show up for real. Because I could come in and wear I'm Akaya Windwood from Rockwood Leadership Institute outfit, which I'm actually wearing. But I prefer to actually be in blue jeans and take my shoes off and build relationship in that way, because then I'm more than my title or what I've done. I'm a human being in relationship to other human beings. So this wonderful bag of water sitting next to you, because that's really all we are, is water in skin, part of the natural world. We're part of an ecosystem. Could be your partner. You don't know them, maybe, yet, but what if? And what if, take a look around this room, just glance. What if these people could be your people? And you could count on each other. So that if you ever decide to take something on, you could go, Oh, yeah, those people, let me give them a call because I need some help because I can't do it by myself. And what if when you called out, people said, oh, happy to help. What do you need? What could you do? What could your organization do? What could be possible in your community? Now, I know that I'm asking big questions here. Oh, yeah, Akaya, that's so great. Thank you for inspiring us. It takes real work. And it takes the work of often working across a lot of difference. However, the person in front of you probably wants a lot of what you want, which is clean water for us to drink. Probably wants communities and streets where our children can go out and run and play. Probably wants fair and good, honest work for everybody who wants it. Probably wants to not have to worry about if I walk out at nighttime, am I safe? Same thing I want. Same thing you want. So often the what of an effort can be very clear. We want to solve this problem. Where things break down is often in the strategy, the how, not the what. Because if I'm saying, okay, well, let's have a just economic system in this country. That's a good idea, don't you think? How we're going to get there is going to be very different from person to person. And that's where it gets tricky. And that's where the work actually has to happen. Because if I'm going, well, okay, I know exactly how to handle this. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is join me in doing it my way. And that's often what happens in collaborations. Have you ever seen that? Please come to the table. It's my table. I've put the food on it. It's designed for a person this tall. And you're this short, but please have a seat. Because I want you to come and do my table. If we're really going to collaborate, it means I need to actually pay attention to, he's actually 5 foot. And he's not African American. And he's not a woman. So, wow, I can't tell him what his seat is going to look like. So how do I then build a flexible table? And that's where it takes work. I want you to turn back to your person, and without speaking, just notice how you are different. Now, you don't have to look in each other's eyes. Please don't do that. No, I'm not looking in your eyes. But just notice in a simple and gentle way how you're different. And notice to yourself, like, what do I think about this person? What do I think they might care about? Or what do I imagine, like, who's their family? Do they have one? How are they connected? Are they? And I want you to notice what you're curious about. And I don't mean that in a kind of vampiric curiosity, like, what is it that you do? No, it's in a, what would be interesting would be to ask this. That natural human curiosity can take us a long way when we're building collaboration and trust. I believe that leadership is inherently relational. I mean, I could lead myself to the bathroom, I guess, and back, but that's really not going to get us anywhere. If I'm going to be in leadership, and at Rockwood, we define leadership as the ability to align and inspire others toward common goals. That is not management. Management is another thing, and it's great we all need to be good managers. But that leadership which says, hey, here's my vision. This is my purpose. Come with. Or what's yours? How can we co-lead? We call that co-powering. that capacity to line others to common goals mean that I actually have to be in relationship with somebody else, and I have to take them really into consideration. They just can't be a figment of my imagination. Because if your partner is a figment of your imagination and only a screen upon which you project your values and your desires, it's going to get messy, I promise you that. So let me give you an opportunity to think about collaboration and this trust. I call this strange bedfellows because, well, in this country I'm old enough now to have seen how the divisive forces are making this harder and harder and harder to be in this country. And I'm not going to place the blame solely at the foot of the media, but media hasn't helped. Where we've been taught we're the right people and they're the wrong people, or we're the right people and they're the wrong people, or let's only look at the far edges because it's either the Tea Party or Occupy. And what that misses is this whole bunch of folks who are actually feeling pretty much alike. We're wanting the same kinds of things. And we may have, as I said earlier, different strategies, but basically, how about we create a nation where kids all go to school with full bellies? That'd be good. How about it where when somebody is 18, they actually can go to college if they want to, or get a job and there's a job there? That'd be good, don't you agree? So we're all kind of working for the same thing. So it's not so much the edges, it's the place where things that we have in common. And which is our humanity often. Where we go often in collaborations, where we don't build trust, is where we just move to the thing and then decide, oh, well, okay, she's not going to cooperate. So then we give up on each other. Has anybody been in that situation? You just go, I can't work with them. You can't pay me to work with them. And meanwhile, over here, they're going, are you kidding me? She's awful. We need to interrupt that pattern because it, one, creates burnout. How many of you get enough rest every night? I'm not seeing a lot of hands. How many of you have plenty of time to hang with your families? Few. How many of you wake up rested, I'll say 6 mornings out of 7? 1 or 2. This is not about us as moral individuals. It's the pattern of our sector. In fact, many of us get taught, if you're going to be a strong advocate, if you're going to be a good ED, you're going to work 90 hours a week. You're not going to have time for anything but getting to work. You're not down for the cause. And so we reward burnout. We actually build it into our systems. Not our fault, but that's a catastrophic, it has catastrophic impact on whether or not we get something done, because I can guarantee you that well-rested, joyous, fun-loving people who are saying, I love this work, are going to get far more done in less time than people who are burned out. Oh man, I got to go to another meeting. Are you with me? So we teach personal ecology. That's taking care of the ecology of our person. That's an integral leadership skill. It's not going to serve us much longer to have burned out, tired leaders. And that's our responsibility as leaders. So I'm going to go back to collaboration. I'm going to ask you to go back to your partner and tell a story. Tell about a time, and each of you is going to be similar kind of thing, just a couple minutes each, when you were involved in a collaboration that was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. Does everybody have at least one example of that? Mm-hmm. What was going on? How did it feel? And what was missing? 2 minutes each way, and then we're going to come back and tell a different story. Turn to your partner. All right. Let me hear from just a couple of you. I don't want any story, because it's probably all the same story. What did it feel like? What was lacking? Help me. Communication. Trust. Empathy. Buy-in, honesty. Right? Oh, yeah, we're great. Not so great. We can bring all this to the table. Really? How? Okay. Turn back to your partner, and I want you to tell a story of a collaboration that really worked. I know you've had one. I know that maybe it was a meeting, maybe it was, but something that really, really worked, where you walked away from that effort or that meeting where you're thinking, this is great. I can't wait to go back to the next time we come back together. Let's all think. When was that? Or maybe it was the last time that happened. She laughs. Turn to your partner. Tell a story. All right. All right. You're going to be able to talk to this person one more time. So hold up. Let me have your attention. Shh. Let me hear from 2 or 3 of you. What was that like? Beautiful. What? Exciting. Warm and fuzzy. Trusting. Rewarding. Satisfying, wasn't it? Let me ask, was it always easy? No. Often our most satisfying collaborations have moments of where it feels like it's going to absolutely break down before it comes together. And the trick there is to stay with it when it begins to break down, but not stay with it so long that you realize I'm in this train wreck for like 15 years. You need to be discerning. Because if we give up too soon when it gets tricky, then we actually don't get what we need to get done. Example, I just recently hired a staff member, a key senior staff member, who came to us with skills and points of view so different from mine. And I was patting myself on the back about, I can see where my deficits are. I'm going to hire somebody who's going to be a balance to my deficits. Aren't I a wonderful leader? I was like, see, I'm modeling what I preach and la, la, la. And then it got hard. It got really, really hard. And there were moments where I thought, one of us is going to die. And I'm the president, so guess who that won't be? We laugh, it's true. And it got really tough. But and there were moments where I was like, you know what, she got to go. She's just got to go because I'm not feeling it, la, la, la. And she, on the other hand, was like, what did I say yes to? She's a crazy woman. What's up with that? So it got to the moment where it felt like we just couldn't make it work. But something stayed my hand. Something said, you know what? I chose her because she brought things I couldn't bring. If I just give up because I'm uncomfortable, we're going to lose something. If she gives up because she's uncomfortable, we're going to lose something. It took several months of a lot of work, and we made it. The best thing that could have happened for Rockwood. We made it. Now, and it was, we're able to do some things now and grow in ways that if it were left up to me and what I could envision would be fine, but not magnificent. And I'm really committed to being excellent and bringing magnificent programming to the world of nonprofits. I will now take a moment to do a shameless plug. Please come to Rockwood. That's what we're here for. I'll put some literature somewhere, but we're also online. Please tend to your own leadership. It's good for you, it's good for the world, good for your communities. But we stuck with it. Rockwood is stronger as a result. I am a much better leader as a result of that. Who would have thought? Because I thought I'm like all that. I'm a great leader. Not so great. I needed someone who could stretch me, who made me think in different ways. She didn't love it either. It stretched her. So if we're lucky, if we're really lucky, a good collaboration will teach us about ourselves and stretch us, and a good collaboration will also teach us about the other person. I can guarantee you, and she knows this, that she can count on me for the rest of her life. For real. And I know that I can count on her for the rest of my life. Now, both of us are, I'm of a certain age. I won't be with Rockwood forever. I'll probably do something else at some point. So I may not be always in leadership, but I know that I can call on her, and she's going to bring a whole set of skills and thinking that I just don't have. Am I making sense here? So finding folks who are really, in interestingly and uncomfortable ways, different from us is actually going to move us further along than if we are always trying to look for folks who feel and think and believe the way we do. And that's hard. And it takes leadership. And it takes courage. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Because when I have folks with me who can push me and support me, that's key. Because where collaborations often break down is where some people were like, sure, go ahead, lead. Go ahead. We'll be right here. And we watch and wait because we know how this is going to turn out. Have you been in that situation? Where we would just kind of go, go ahead, and we withdraw our energy. Or even worse, yeah, go ahead, we're right behind you. I hate her. I hate her. And she thinks she's going to do that, and la, 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 la. Has anybody had that experience? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens a lot. It happens a lot. And if I get really honest, I had to look at, I participate in that. So the degree to which we, as individuals, participate in the tearing down of other people's leadership is a problem. And that's our responsibility. Because it feels terrible. It feels terrible. I would much rather have somebody say to me, Kai, I actually don't agree with where you're going. I actually can't see your vision. Your purpose it feels like we're at cross purposes, and I'm going to, with respect, step away from what you're doing. That would be easier for me than to have false support. So if we're going to lend each other support, now you've got your person here, your personal little bag of water that's now going to be your partner for the rest of your life. You're going to want them to be honest with you and not go where they won't go. Don't just support in the name of support. It's about saying, you really can count on me, but for this. And often, as leaders, or when we're in collaboration, we make the mistake of thinking, oh, it's clear to me what support would look like, without actually saying that to the person. So if I'm the support person, I'm thinking, oh, well, what she wants is a tender heart and a sounding board. A good thing. But actually, what she wants is me to come over and cook her dinner for her kids so that she can attend a meeting. We're at cross purposes. Because if she says, God, I can't get my kids fed, I need to get to this meeting, and I go, that must be hard for you. Something's not going to work. And conversely, if I'm there are people who say, oh, the way I support people is by doing stuff. When in fact, what they might need is a tender heart and an open mind. Right? So being very clear about what it is we want from one another is more likely that we're going to get what we need in terms of our collaborative efforts, whether that be internal to our organizations, cross-organizations, cross-regions, or sectors. want to give a little bit of time for Q&A. So I want to pause for a moment and ask, raise your hand if you've regularly come home from life or work and you say, you know, I just got too much appreciation today. In fact, I'm thinking I'm not going to go to work tomorrow because I just get too much appreciation. And I'm a little overwhelmed. I want to stay home because I have just too much of that. I haven't ever, in all of my times of asking that, nobody has ever said, oh yeah, I actually get too much appreciation. And that's catastrophic. Because you are trying to do the hardest of work. Really. Is anybody in this room saying, yeah, actually, I don't do much when I go to work? I mean, I get a little paycheck, but basically what I do is watch YouTube and have lunch. Nobody. Everybody in this room is working hard. Everybody in this room is working hard. I have yet to run across somebody in the social benefits sector who is not working hard. And we don't get enough appreciation. So you're going to get one. You're going to get some appreciation. How fun. Appreciation is three things. It is brief. Doesn't go on and on and on and on. It's not a list of everything you've done in your lifetime that's worthy. It is true. It is not flattery. It is not, you know, I love that outfit. It looks so good and your hair all works, la, 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 right? It's true in a heart way. Thank you for that really kind introduction. And I really appreciate, Aaron, that you came and took time to sit with me for a moment before you came up to introduce me and didn't just look at my bio. Thank you for that. Do you hear the difference? Both are true. Girlfriend looks great. And it mattered to me that she took the time to talk to me ahead of time. Third, from the heart. So the brief, true, from the heart. Guess what you have? A person. Guess what you've done? You've told some stories. So now I'm going to ask you to appreciate each other. And this time you're just going to give each other about a minute. I won't ding my bell. It's a couple minutes just to tell each other what's been meaningful to you about having sat together for just this moment, not long, and appreciate each other. Turn to your partners. Let's all take a breath. Take a breath. Let me hear from a few of you.
I want to share my appreciation on what a beautiful job you did today with that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you. Let me hear from you. Why would I ask you to appreciate each other? Self-worth. Say again? Self-worth. Yeah, reflects the goodness of each other. I get to see myself when you appreciate me, right? Vice versa. Yes, back here. Now, there's my sister. Say that again loud. Come on, say it. What if, at the end of every staff meeting, you took just a few seconds to appreciate each other regularly? No, for real. What if it became part of your cultural pattern in your organization that appreciation was just standard? Now, you can do this. It is not hard. Do you notice how you managed to do that right now? And I just asked you for a quick minute ago. You can institute this kind of appreciation in your organizations or in your collaborations. At Rockwood, we end every staff meeting with some kind of appreciation. It's built in. And I believe that if you, for leaders, there should be about a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio, appreciation to challenging feedback. 5 or 4 to 1. Because I've found that when my staff knows that I inherently respect and appreciate what they bring, when I have to deliver some hard news, it gets really paid attention to. Because if I were only giving appreciation, then people were like, yeah, thank you, Akaya. If I were only giving hard news, well, I don't like what you did, whatever, then people become demoralized. But if you balance it right, and people know that they're respected, and they know that they're cared about, then when you have to deliver some hard news, and we always do, it gets paid attention to. Oh, wow, I really need to step up here. So my invitation to you is twofold. One, take this home. Appreciate the people who work with you. It may feel risky, it may feel strange at first, but it's a practice. And if you practice it, you'll get better at it. And second request, please appreciate the people in this room between now and tomorrow when we leave. What if each of us agreed to give at least 2 or 3 appreciations before you leave tomorrow? How cool would that be? Could we do that? Now, let's not just go up to somebody we don't know and say, la, la, la. I mean, it's because you've had a real encounter. I believe that if we, as leaders who are working toward the common good, build trust, work across the ways in which we're different, take the risk of intimacy and saying who I am and what matters to me and listening, if we create conditions and cultures of appreciation and well-being, our world can change in a lifetime. That's possible. And it means we're going to have to switch up how we operate. And we can do that. My request to you. Thank you. It's been a good time.